with your newscast, also simulcast on Fiesta FM 106.7. I am Jaden Gamis. To God be the glory. Those were the words that resounded today in the High Court as Justice Nigel Pilgrim found Elmer Na unequivocally guilty of the heinous murders of Vivian, John, and David Ramirez, which took place in Belmopan on December 31st of 2022. Today, the courtroom was filled with emotion as relatives of the victims watched closely, witnessing the culmination of a tense and meticulous trial process. Throughout the proceedings, Na steadfastly proclaimed his innocence, presenting an alibi witness in a bid to clear his name. He also requested that the surveillance footage capturing the deadly shooting be enhanced, asserting that such an effort would demonstrate the gunman lacked a distinctive tattoo on his right hand, a detail he claimed would exonerate him. Since his detention mere hours after the chilling murders, Na remained on remand, awaiting the outcome of the trial that commenced in June of 2025. The prosecution's case hinged heavily on the testimony of Vivian Ramirez, the sole eyewitness who provided an account of the incident before succumbing to her gunshot wounds 15 days later. In addition, the Crown presented circumstantial evidence, weaving a compelling narrative of guilt. A pivotal moment in the trial was the voir dire, a legal hearing to determine the admissibility of Vivian's statements and other key evidence. The defense's no-case submission was firmly rejected, allowing the case against Na to proceed to its conclusion. Justice Pilgrim deemed Vivian's testimony to be both reliable and credible, notably highlighting how closely her account aligned with the details captured on the surveillance video. As Justice Pilgrim deliberated, Na repeatedly shook his head, seemingly signaling disagreement with the proceedings. The judge also found out that Na had lied about his whereabouts on the nights of the murder, further undermining his credibility. The verdict was read aloud before a packed courtroom with a strong presence of relatives of the victims, whose grief and relief were palpable. Outside the courtroom today was sister of Vivian, Vashti Belsi, spoke to the media about today's verdict and also about what was the family's worst fear throughout the trial.
He played the most significant role in convicting her murderer and her husband's murderer and her brother-in-law's murderer. So, as much as we are thankful today, we are still, I guess, overwhelmed because despite this victory, we're still without Vivian.
What was the family's worst fear coming to this trial?
That he was acquitted, because she was in her right state of mind. Vivian never lost her mental faculties, and that was our greatest fear, that knowing that she didn't name him, but she described him and identified him, and if he had gotten away with that, I don't know how we may take that, because at the end of the day, a child is left without a mother and father. So as much as we are grateful today that, he has been convicted, the damage has already been done. A child has to grow up the rest of their life without a mom and pa. But I'm just glad that justice was served, especially for her today, and I'm proud of my sister. I'm very proud of her. She was fearless. She was brave, very, very brave, and to God.
Do you fear an appeal?
I know that is coming, but we are in it for the long haul, and we're here for however long.
Special Prosecutor Terrence Williams appeared virtually for this session, reinforcing the seriousness of the case and the justice served. Sentencing hearing has been set for June 18th. Police are investigating the murder of Dr. Naum Bonilla of Belmopan City following a brazen shooting that unfolded in front of his young daughter on Friday morning. Authorities say the incident occurred shortly after 8:30 a.m. in the Las Flores area along Ramirez Avenue. According to the police, Dr. Bonilla was driving to drop off his 5-year-old daughter at school when his vehicle was intercepted by another vehicle. An armed man exited the vehicle and opened fire on Dr. Bonilla before fleeing the scene. The doctor sustained fatal injuries and was pronounced dead at the scene. His daughter, who was inside the vehicle during the attack, was not physically injured. The shocking killing has left residents of the area shaken. One eyewitness who spoke with our news team described the incident as a tragedy and remembered Dr. Bonilla was a good man whose loss will be deeply felt by the community.
Well, the guy come off of the street for where he lived up on Mount Talbot, and the vehicle made it behind him and the vehicle gone in the front. And the gunman come out and let out about 13 shots and gone down the street right over there, the next street. And I just try run to the vehicle and check if the guy may alive, but I reach there, dead on the spot. So that's that right there. It's unfortunate. Look like I'm gonna follow the guy though, because as they come out, he literally just come off of the street, you know. It was sad. That happened right there. The daughter safe though. Yeah, the guys that take the daughter out.
Police have since recovered surveillance footage from the area and are actively pursuing several leads as they work to establish a motive. Authorities say there is currently no indication that Dr. Bonilla was involved in any criminal or illicit activity.
Police are investigating the murder of Dr. Naun Bonilla of Belmopan City, which occurred sometime around 8:30 a.m. on 29 May 2026 in the Las Flores community of Belmopan City. What preliminary investigation has thus far disclosed is that Bonilla was on board his vehicle on Ramirez Avenue when his vehicle was overtaken by another vehicle which stopped in front of Dr. Bonilla's vehicle. An armed male person is reported to have exited that vehicle and fired several shots, which resulted in the fatal injury of Dr. Bonilla. Police have retrieved a number of video footage, which we believe will be of use to this ongoing investigation. The investigators are also following up on 2 leads as it relates to motive, neither of which suggests Dr. Bonilla's involvement in the nefarious activities.
Investigators are looking for 2 persons of interest and are continuing their search as the investigation remains ongoing. Police are appealing to anyone with information that could assist the case to come forward. The murder of Dr. Naum Bonilla has sent shockwaves throughout the Belmopan community, with colleagues and friends struggling to come to terms with the loss of a man they describe as a dedicated physician and valued team member. At the Belmopan Imaging Center, where Dr. Bonilla worked for the past 8 years, staff members are mourning the sudden and tragic loss. Director Dr. Virginia Smith says the killing has deeply affected the close-knit team, many of whom worked alongside Dr. Bonilla on a daily basis and considered him more than just a colleague. She described Dr. Bonilla as a compassionate professional who was committed to the well-being of his patients and respected by everyone who knew him. His death, she said, has left an irreplaceable void within the medical facility and the wider healthcare community.
Okay, so this morning we started our day off with the very tragic news, the very sad news of the death of our colleague, Dr. Naun Bonilla. My staff were extremely saddened as, in addition to being our main clinician, he was a very dear friend to every member of the staff. Dr. Bonilla came to us approximately 8 years ago. He had just graduated from school as an internist. He came to Belize, started to work at the Western Regional Hospital, and in his afternoon and evening hours, he would spend time with us here seeing our patients. He served many years at the Western Regional Hospital and presently responds to us whenever we call. In addition, Dr. Bonilla has a community that he serves out of the Valley of Peace. I'm sure that in that community, this will be a very sad news. Those people will miss him dearly. Observing him from my side, I saw not just any ordinary young doctor. I saw a doctor that was extremely dedicated, charismatic, compassionate, and kind, extremely knowledgeable. The special thing that I saw about him was that he would spend an entire hour with each one of his patients, going over their history, allowing them to talk as much as they wanted to, of course going over their clinical details, reviewing their labs, and him giving them his advice was the special part that people loved about him. He was a very good clinician here and a very good friend to everybody here in this clinic.
While expressing grief over the loss, she also called on authorities to ensure that justice is served.
We are shocked. Crime and violence of this type has no part in any aspect of the Belizean society. In addition, and more so, we are shocked that it has touched the medical community. I think there's no words for it. This should not happen. A young doctor, when a person goes to study medicine, it's their young prime years of their life that they spend studying to become doctors. They come back to us wanting to serve, trying to save lives, and to have something like this occur in a split second, your life is taken away, is just not acceptable. So I would like to call on the authorities to get to the bottom of it. We pray that we can get some answers for this horrible crime.
As investigators continue their search for answers, tributes continue to pour in for Dr. Bonilla, whose life was cut short in a senseless act of violence. For many in Belmopan, his death represents not only the loss of a respected doctor, but also a reminder of the devastating impact crime continues to have on families, communities, and professions across the country. A Belize City couple is facing drug trafficking charges following the discovery of suspected cocaine during a police anti-narcotics operation. Police say Corey Otley and Trisha Otley of Vasquez Avenue in the Kings Park area were arrested and charged with possession of controlled drugs with the intent to supply after officers searched their residence and allegedly found 154 grams of suspected cocaine.
As a consequence of targeted anti-drug operation by Eastern Division personnel, police have formally arrested and charged Corey Otley and Teresa Otley of Vasquez Avenue, Kings Park, Belize City, for the offense of possession of controlled drugs with intent to supply. This follows police's discovery of 154 grams of suspected cocaine during a search of their residence.
The arrests were made as part of a nationwide anti-drug and anti-weapons campaign conducted between May 25th and May 29th of 2026. The operation involves specialized police units working alongside regional formations across the country in an effort to target the illegal possessions of firearms, ammunition, and narcotics. According to police, the coordinated operation resulted in the seizure of 10 firearms during a series of targeted searches carried out in Belize City, Corozal, and Belmopan.
As a consequence of these operations, a total of 10 firearms consisting of 5 9mm caliber pistol, 1.22 caliber pistol, 3.38 revolver, and one AR-15 rifle were seized. The aforementioned weapons were seized as a consequence of targeted base search operations conducted in Belize City, Corozal, and the city of Belmopan. This week's seizure brings the total amount of weapons and ammunition seized by the department since the beginning of the year to 116 firearms of different calibers, 3,724 rounds of ammunition, and the number of persons arrested for firearm and ammunition-related offenses to 109. In the week of 25th to 29th May 2026, countrywide anti-drugs and weapons operations were conducted by the various specialized units of the police department, as well as the different formations across the country of Belize.
Authorities report that the latest seizures have pushed the number of firearms confiscated nationwide since the beginning of the year to 116. Police have also recovered 3,724 rounds of ammunition and arrested 109 individuals for firearm and ammunition-related offenses during the same period. As we told you previously, a Belizean citizen has become part of the initial group of deportees transferred from the United States to St. Kitts and Nevis, marking a significant step in a newly established bilateral migration agreement involving CARICOM nations. An intriguing aspect of this situation is the choice made by the deported Belizean not to return home after his removal. Instead, he opted to be transferred to St. Kitts and Nevis, raising questions about the safe third country arrangement that allows individuals to be sent elsewhere instead of their country of origin. Tanya Santos, Chief Executive Officer of Belize's Immigration Department, noted that details surrounding this case are limited. However, she emphasized that once a Belizean individual opts for deportation to another country under such arrangements, the government has no legal authority to intervene.
One of the conditions of a safe third country agreement is that you can choose which country you want to go to. And my understanding is that this person chose not to come to Belize. The reason, for whatever reason, I don't know. Yes, they could have come home. Yeah.
And in that case, how do you approach it? Do you reach out to the person? You just leave it as
Yeah, well, through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, I'm sure they will make sure that this person is safe and protected in that country. But if he doesn't want to come home, we can't force him.
Did the person state any reason as to why they didn't feel comfortable coming back to the
I don't know the details. I don't even know the name of the person, but that's the information I got. And we're getting help with the IOM, International Organization for Migration, and they're helping us to identify who it is and what the issue was. He's free. He's going to be living in St. Kitts. And I suspect that they have their own arrangements with the Americans for support for these people who go to as safe third country refugees.
Coming up next, Prime Minister John Briceño speaks on possible cartel activity in the north. We'll tell you what his concerns are. Stay tuned.
When speed matters, every second counts. Get ahead with ExpressNet. Fast, reliable, ready when you are.
From whiskeys and wines to elegantly crafted cocktails. Paired with charcuterie boards and perfectly seasoned steak bites, and much more. Perfect for celebrations, quiet nights, and every special occasion in between. 7 Notes Wine and Spirits, where every sip hits the right note.
Prime Minister John Briceño is pushing back against claims that there is anything suspicious behind the recent spike in electricity bills being reported by Belizeans across the country. Speaking on the growing public concern over higher than normal light bills, PM Briceño said there is no nefarious plan by the government or Belize Electricity Limited, BEL, to increase costs unfairly. Instead, he attributed to the higher bills to increase electricity consumption as households try to cope with the country's prolonged period of hot weather. According to the Prime Minister, many Belizeans are using air conditioner units, fans, and other cooling appliances more frequently and for longer periods, resulting in higher energy usage and larger monthly bills. He noted that while consumers may feel they are paying more, the increase is largely tied to consumption rather than hidden charges or unauthorized rate increases.
Well, I had discussed that with the former CEO, Mr. Mencias. What happens is that when it is hot, people use more electricity. You know, people would have put on the fan for longer periods, or the refrigerator, and you open it every minute, or if they have an AC, they make it work longer. So obviously, apart from that, there was a slight increase in rates. You use more during when it's very hot. When it's not hot, you don't need to use your AC, or you don't have to put on a fan. You know, to drink cold water every minute. So there's more usage. And another good example was I remember when BWSL upgraded its pumping system and the water flows and so within the city. For some people, water bill gone up, but it gone up because you don't have enough pressure when you open it. You know, it come out, but then it come out with pressure. Now when you open it, come out with pressure, so more water come out, and so you end up to use more water. So basically, that's it. There's no nefarious plan that that BL have somehow with a magic wand managed to increase all of the meters to go up to be able to charge you more. It's simply because it's hotter and people have to use more electricity.
The issue has sparked public debate, with many Belizeans questioning the sudden rise in their bills. However, government officials maintain that the primary driver behind these increases is the greater demand for electricity during the current heat conditions. Prime Minister John Briceño says one of his greatest concerns for Belize is the possibility of foreign drug cartels establishing a foothold in the country, warning that once organized criminal networks become entrenched, they can be extremely difficult to remove. Commenting on reports of possible cartel activity in northern Belize, Briceño acknowledged that authorities remain vigilant and are closely monitoring the situation. He stressed that the government and law enforcement agencies must continue working to prevent criminal organizations from infiltrating Belize. Prime Minister Briceño also addressed the recent murder in Corozal, which has fueled speculation about possible links to drug trafficking. While acknowledging that the incident could be connected to illicit drug trade, he cautioned against drawing conclusions before the investigation is complete.
I remember in early 2021, in my first meeting with the officials at the U.S. Embassy, and they asked me, so what is it that keeps you up at night? And I said, incursions of the narcos in Belize, because should they ever come into Belize, it would be impossible to get them out. And so that is why now we have the Northern Fortress in place. We're spending millions of dollars to ensure that we can stop all of this. And I think we've had a lot of success in it. There are going to be murders? Yes, unfortunately. When you're in the drug trade, that is going to happen, where people start to fight over turf or payday or whatever it is. But on this one, I can't say whether it was a narco kill or hit or whatever it is. But yes, obviously he was in some kind of illegal activity and he got killed. I hope that we can, well, we do plan to do our best to be able to solve that. And if you notice, we need to commend the police that most of the murders are being solved, that we're getting most of these people that have been committing murders.
His comments come amid growing concerns about transitional criminal activity in the region and ongoing efforts by Belizean authorities to strengthen border security and combat the trafficking of illegal drugs and weapons. The Ministry of Public Service has announced a one-year suspension on all departmental transfers for government employees, effectively extending their current postings by an additional year. This directive, detailed in Circular Memorandum Number 26, prohibits any movement of public officers that would involve a change in jurisdiction during this period. The move aims to maintain stability within government departments, but it has sparked concerns among various agencies. Tanya Santos, CEO of the Immigration Department, expressed her worries about the impact of the moratorium, stating that it constrains their ability to address staffing challenges and fill leadership vacancies promptly.
Recall that before that memo came out, we at the Immigration Ministry had already sent out intent to transfer, meaning we have to do that by public service regulations no later than the end of March. So we had already set out our schedule and our transfer lists, and we sent them out. And so people were moving to, some people were going back to their home station. Some people were looking forward to going to another port. And so it's in light of that there are not many, but there are a few people who have expressed that they would still be interested in moving. We have sent out some specific requests through the public service, not specifically in immigration, but in other departments. And unfortunately, some of those are coming back negative, that the moratorium still exists. So I don't know or is in place. So I'm not sure how far we'll get. It's not practical for us, and it could lead to further challenges, as we always have. But in light of the decisions, we can only try to negotiate again and try to convince some more that we need some of these people in these places, and it's not a lot. So I have received from immigration specifically about 4, maybe, if that much, and some of them we need. Some areas we have shortage. We have shortage of human resources, and so that was the idea to strengthen. Like for instance, in our visa process, that's an area that we get a lot of complaints, and we know that we need more human resources to keep up with the demand.
Prime Minister John Briceño says police investigations are continuing into theft uncovered at the Immigration Department, describing the incident as a failure at multiple levels of the system. Providing an update on the matter today, Prime Minister Briceño said authorities are actively investigating the circumstances surrounding the theft and are working to determine how the breach occurred and who may have been involved.
Would you be able to give us an update on the embezzlement at the Immigration Department, specifically in Belize City?
The update is the same. It's under investigation. The person that is involved was quite creative in canceling receipts. But more than that, I don't think I should comment because the police is investigating, and I know the media trying to make a story of it. Well, nobody is charged yet. Police. It takes a long time to investigate to make sure that you have a good case, because if you don't, when you go to court, they get these good defense lawyers and they find one misstep and say, oh, you have to throw the case. So we need to be careful. We have to ensure that when we go to court, we have a next to foolproof case.
The Prime Minister acknowledged that, as head of government, he must accept some responsibility for what transpired. However, he stressed that the situation cannot be attributed to a single individual or agency.
Well, I think that the elections was in 2005 in March. And I don't know when in 2025, if it started in January, February, March, we don't know yet. So I think it's premature to say something like that. But at the end of the day, as the Prime Minister, I have to take responsibility for everything that happens within the government. So yes, if you want me to say that, yes, I'll take responsibility, at the end of the day, it's my responsibility as the Prime Minister. But what's more importantly, what we need to do is to be able to learn from these errors. You know, we put so much in place and so many check and balances, but if we're not checking the check and balances, then this happens because there's a supervisor, and the supervisor should be checking every day. And if a supervisor was checking and say, hold on, why is it that this individual have so many cancellations of receipts? That alone should be a red light. But I believe, though, as we're going into more digitizing the system, I think we'll be able to pick up these things faster. That's why in some instances you have some members within the service that are not too enthused about digitization, because digitization is leave a stamp. You could always check back. It creates more efficiencies, but also more accountability. And so it's more difficult to be able to do things like that.
Police have not yet disclosed the full details of their investigation, but officials say efforts continue to establish the extent of the theft and any potential criminal wrongdoing. The cabinet has expressed a serious concern over the recent removal of dangerous military ordnance by former Minister Elvin Penner from the Baldi Beacon area in the Cayo district. During its May 26th meeting, the cabinet emphasized that the Baldi Beacon area is restricted at certain times to facilitate military operations and warned the public about the risks involved. The government has requested a full investigation to ensure that no further incidents of this nature occur. Earlier this week, the Belize Police Department reported that investigators have collected statements and are reviewing the case under the Dangerous Goods Act. Authorities are working to determine whether any offenses were committed during the removal of the hazardous military materials, which stem from military operations involving old munitions and hazardous substances in the Mountain Pine Ridge area. In related developments, the cabinet also discussed preparedness measures for the upcoming 2026 hurricane season. Senior officials briefed the cabinet on disaster risk management strategies, affirming their full support for efforts to protect Belizean communities from potential storm impacts. Furthermore, the government endorsed a new concession agreement between the Department of Transport / the Transport Board and the National Bus Company, the NBC. This agreement aims to establish a structured operation and regulatory framework to modernize and coordinate transport corridors, attracting investments and ensuring a safer, more sustainable public transport system. In the development news, Cabinet received updates on projects funded by the CARICOM Development Fund, totaling $9 million in loan and grant resources. These funds are targeted at reducing rural poverty, modernizing agriculture, and building climate-resilient educational infrastructure. Key projects include upgrading school facilities in Corozal and Cayo, as well as initiatives in honey and livestock production and the establishment of a market in Bella Vista, Toledo. There is more news after the break. Stay tuned.
Stay connected in the USA for as low as $10. With Smart Roaming Data Pass, staying connected is simple and affordable. Get the data you need starting at 1,000 megabytes to stay connected to larger plans that keep you online while you travel across the USA. So you can message, browse, video call, and navigate wherever you go. No SIM swap, no bill shock. Just simple, affordable pricing. Activate easily by dialing *100# using the Smart app or online. Smart Roaming Data Pass. Staying connected the smart way. Smart, bringing people together.
My name is Dr. Rosita Jimenez, and I'm a general laparoscopic surgeon. We have just finished an emergency appendectomy, and we're now moving on to our second operating theater for our laparoscopic gallbladder staining. Basically, this is very easy to diagnose. Simple abdominal ultrasound or a pan-abdominal ultrasound can give us the diagnosis. Laparoscopic gallbladder removal surgeries, 90 to 80% of the time, are done due to gallstones. However, there are other conditions like tumors, malfunctioning of the gallbladder that also are reasons to get a laparoscopic surgery. We also have an amazing CT scan and X-ray unit who work hand in hand with our doctors. Instruments used in laparoscopic surgery are chokers like these. It makes it easy for us to do the surgery through these entry ports. The recovery process is excellent. And basically, within a week, you are back up, ready to do your job, your daily life activity, like if you hadn't had this surgery.
The Orange Walk Town Council is inviting applications from suitably qualified and motivated individuals to fill 5 garbage fee collector positions within our revenue department. Minimum requirements: high school diploma, friendly and people-oriented personality, tech-savvy, must own reliable transportation, preferably a motorcycle, honest and dependable. Interested applicants are asked to submit the following documents: application letter, copy of high school diploma, valid social security card, 2 character references. Applications must be submitted in person to the Orange Walk Town Council office by February 20th, 2026. Join our team and contribute to keeping Orange Walk clean and organized.
Statistics from the Statistical Institute of Belize show a notable rise in its merchandise imports during April of 2026, contrasting with a modest decrease in domestic exports, according to the latest external trade report issued by the Statistical Institute of Belize, or the SIB. The report indicates that the total value of imports for the month reached $268 million, representing a substantial increase of $46.4 million, or 21% compared to April 2025, when imports totaled $221.5 million. The most prominent growth was observed in the categories of mineral fuels and lubricants, machinery and transport equipment, and other manufactured goods. Imports of mineral fuels and lubricants jumped by $15.9 million to $50.2 million, primarily due to rising global fuel prices. Similarly, machinery and transport equipment increased by $9.9 million, totaling $62.6 million, driven by higher imports of heavy-duty trucks, aircraft components, and air conditioning units. Food and live animal imports also expanded, rising by $6.6 million to $29.6 million, reflecting increased purchases of items such as corn seeds and processed cheese. For the first 4 months of 2026, Belize's cumulative imports amounted to approximately $1.1 billion, marking a 17.6% increase over the same period last year. While imports surged, Belize's domestic imports for April declined slightly. The export total for the month was valued at $42.8 million, representing a decrease of $1.9 million or 4.1% from April 2025. The decrease was most noticeable in molasses exports, which plummeted from $2.3 million last year to nearly 0 shipments in April of 2026. Other exports such as bananas declined by $2 million and red kidney beans fell by $1.3 million, attributed to reduced export volumes. Additionally, exports of formal cattle and crude soybean oil experienced downturns. Conversely, sugar exports increased by $2.5 million to reach $21.5 million, supported by higher export volumes. Marine products also saw growth, with exports rising by $1.9 million, mainly due to the increased sales of lobster meat and conch. The United States emerged as Belize's leading export destination for the month, with earnings rising by $14.6 million to $19.5 million, largely driven by imported sugar exports. In contrast, exports to the United Kingdom fell sharply by $17 million, mainly due to the decreased shipments of sugars and banana to the market. The Ministry of Health and Wellness advises the public and travelers at all ports of entry that Belize is initiating heightened public health vigilance in response to the ongoing Ebola outbreak affecting parts of the East and Central Africa. While no suspected cases have been identified in Belize, the MOHW is ensuring that precautionary measures at points of entry are initiated to protect the population's health. Ebola is a rare viral disease that is often fatal to humans. It spreads through direct contact with the blood or bodily fluids of a person who is sick with or has died from Ebola disease. The incubation period ranges from 2 to 21 days. Symptoms usually begin with fever, severe tiredness, muscle pain, headache, and sore throat, followed by vomiting, diarrhea, abdominal pain, unexplained bleeding, and rash. The risk to the public at this time is low. However, the MOHW is coordinating with the Belize Airport Authority, Border Management, Immigration, Customs, Civil Aviation, cruise lines, and airline partners to strengthen screening and response procedures at airports, land borders, and seaports. Travelers are encouraged to provide accurate information regarding recent travels to border officials. Travelers who are able to self-isolate are encouraged to do so. Anyone who has traveled from affected areas and developed symptoms should immediately contact MOHW at 0800 MOH/care. Persons with symptoms must avoid close contact with others while seeking medical attention. The ministry is monitoring the international situation closely and will continue to provide updates as needed. And that's the news. We invite you to join us for another newscast on Monday, June 1st, here on CTV3 News and Fiesta FM 106.7. Remember that to read a text version of the news, you can visit our website at www.ctv3belizenews.com. You can also log on to our Facebook page for current stories at facebook.com/CTV3BelizeNews, or you can visit our YouTube channel at CTV3 News BZ. From all of us here at CTV3, thank you for watching and listening. Have a safe and pleasant